far exceeds export. Same item. Which in turn means, that means this country is just allowing the low-end stuff, raw materials to go out, and we import the high-end things, the finished products to come in. And it's become a huge issue, according to me, in terms of balance of payment. Does that not decide or dictate our priority? Why is it that our research and development does not focus our priorities to make sure that we reverse this? And a few areas it has happened. For example, pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceuticals today we export far more than what we import. A great job, that's an exception. For example, automobiles. We export, there was a time where we were actually net importers, but today we export much more in automobiles than what we import. That is because in these areas, there has been a very significant amount of research and development, particularly on part of the concerned industries. And when that has happened, the country has actually succeeded. Clothing is another area, garment industry, where this has happened. But not in the context of iron and steel, not in many other, in fact, all the rest items you will find. What I told you is the complete list where we have done better. All areas, other areas, we have not done. So I think our priorities of research and development, where we make a positive impact on the marketplace, must get dictated by some such thing. So the point I wish to make is, while there is importance to research and development, while there is importance to understanding how the technology would impact society, while there is importance to understanding what will determine the relative capability in terms of security and so on and so forth, I think all this must ultimately culminate into strengthening the national capability. And it cannot be the case that we keep importing things which are something looks better. We have to change our mindsets. We have to culturally transform ourselves to pool our efforts together to achieve these results. I would just urge all of you to look at our own households and look at the products in our houses that were existing maybe 30, 40 years ago. How many of them were foreign brands and how many of them were Indian brands? And look at the same products that exist in our house today, and how many are foreign brands and how many are Indian brands. And you find that foreign brands are dominating. What nationalism we are talking about? I think we need to think about. Somebody told me that the royalty outgo from our country, it's not all royalty that goes out is not listed under a single head. It's all distributed, so we don't see that. But some very knowledgeable person from industry told me that if you put all that together, you will find royalty outgo from this country is one of the largest items of foreign exchange outgo. And it goes on things like what? Soaps, toothpaste, even drinking water. A large number of them are foreign brands. And so you use them, some paise or some fraction goes out. Why can't we adopt a policy of be Indian, buy Indian? Drinking water, RO water, what does it matter whether it's a foreign branded one or Indian branded one? I think there is hardly any difference. Go one step further, things like refrigerator, things like air conditioner. things like microwave oven. Why is it that we don't see Indian brands preferably in our shops or for that matter our houses? And I think these, you will agree with me, these are in technological term child's play. So I think while S&T system must create these products, as a country also we must adjust ourselves, alter our mindset and make sure that we see, the point is there may be you may have a feeling of quality, which is the best buy, and as consumer those rights certainly we should exercise, but I don't think in a drinking water a foreign brand or an Indian brand makes any difference whatsoever, or for that matter a toothpaste. For all I know, Indian toothpaste perform much better. Only thing is it does not have the same attraction as a foreign brand, and I think this mindset must change. So to sum it all, I think advances in science and technology, on one side they are going to take place in the rest of the world, particularly in advanced countries. We must also recognize that the Indian S&T system is capable. After all, as a country, we have developed missiles, we have developed rockets, we have gone on moon, we have gone to Mars, we have developed atomic weapons. So country can deliver things, that is well established. The question is, can we have a structured and a collective program, not just government, not just a particular lab or not just a particular institution, but the country and the society as a whole? Can we have a program where we develop technologies to meet our needs? And then can we develop a mindset where we would actually encourage such local development? And if we do that, then I think certainly while we must recognize the impact or connotation of advances in research and development or science and technology to national security, but we will be able to actually by our action translate Indian advances into Indian national security. Thank you very much.
Sir, I am Yoganand. I am etching faculty here coming from the industry with the instrumentation and control. You, sir, mentioned that these are the new technologies that we need to go forward. Basically doing a very precise positioning of autonomous vehicles or missiles and all that. And sensors was one thing that you mentioned. Another thing is the controls, right? So that is also required. But on one side, sir, you're talking about technology. On the other side, we have the industry saying that we require more engineers. And there is this poor student, he's...
You have industry saying what?
Industry is saying that, okay, I want more engineers, to work on these technologies. And there is this student here, who is asking, why am I learning controls? It's a fundamental question for him. So there is a huge gap that I see between what is required by the government, looking at 2035, what the industry is demanding now, and what the student is, what is his perception of that? He doesn't see any future in learning that. How, sir, can we, get down to that level? What can you do from your position with the government? What would you like the industry to do, and what would you like the academia to do to answer that student's question?
I think it's a very important question, and of course, in the last, by way of a generic statement, I did touch upon this, but since you asked the question, let me explain that in greater detail. See, we have been all talking about innovation. Innovation has become a buzzword. According to me, innovation is about ability to take an idea all the way up to the destination, which being market, or society or end user or like that. Now, if you want to do that, obviously there is a developer, there is, or at the front end, there is a researcher which actually does research in science itself. Then there is somebody who develops that into a technology. Then there is an entrepreneur who converts that into a product. And then, of course, there is industry or business which puts it in the market. Now, unless you have an ecosystem consisting of all these elements, it could be that some of these elements, all of them or some of them may be existing in some single individual or a group, or it could be a combination of several groups, but all these elements have to come together in a, what one may call a conducive innovation ecosystem. Unfortunately, that is singularly missing in most of the cases in our place. And the reason for that is nothing else but our own mindsets. We Indians, we somehow have this habit of isolating ourselves. We have a habit of creating silos around us. I am different, you are different, this is my expertise, and so on and so forth. Now, and you would have noticed that somebody who never appeared so bright or so resourceful here, when he goes abroad, goes to US, he suddenly starts performing. You'd be glad to know, in fact, recently there has been a survey which looked at institutions which produce new founders. And those institutions were ranked on the basis of the founders which have come out of those institutions. And in a global survey, IITs have been ranked 4th best in the world. We often have this lament that no university in India is better than, in 200 list and all. But we never celebrate this fact that the IITs, which are Indian institutions, have been ranked 4th in the world in terms of producing founders. So much so, there is a recent survey which looked at the new ventures created by migrants to United States. And they had looked at only the $1 billion plus ventures. And which country is on the top of that list? India. Of all the migrants from wherever going to US and creating new ventures, India has produced maximum $1 billion plus ventures in US. It has been ranked number 1. So obviously, what is the difference now? It's the same Indians who have studied here, most of them have gone there, because you are talking about the migrants. The missing point is the conducive innovation ecosystem. And we need to create that. And when that happens, you will find this country will transform very rapidly. And I have a hands-on experience on this. Medical devices, biomedical devices, which is, we need that, and they're all items of import. This country imports huge quantum of biomedical devices. And my understanding is the cost of biomedical devices as is available to users here, there would be at least 50% opportunity cost. We are just paying it because there are branded items that are coming in here. So there is a strong incentive to develop those items within the country. So we have a framework called BETIC, Biomedical Engineering Technology Incubation Center, something like that. It's a virtual incubation center which resides at IIT Bombay, College of Engineering Pune, and the Vishweshwaraya Institute of Technology, National Institute of Technology, Nagpur. And this is a thing which is funded by Rajiv Gandhi Science and Technology Commission in Maharashtra. And I happen to be the chairman of that commission. In span of 3 years, they now have a collaborating group consisting of very eminent surgeons, doctors, the faculty from these institutions, and industry. And this group is 100 strong today. And of course, there are students who carry out that work. In a span of 3 years, 3 technologies are already commercial. They are already with the industry. Around half a dozen technologies will go commercial in maybe 5-6 months time from now. And they're already working on 24 technologies, which will come. And now, so the short point is, while we have to set priorities right, we have to create demand-driven thing, but we also need to create that innovation ecosystem. Today, of course, things are changing, I must admit. Last 4 or 5 years, several good things have happened in this context. But we need to actually do much more. And today, actually, there is a bit of distrust between industry and the institution or academia. And also there are issues about government policies. Entrepreneurs have to go through a lot of hurdles. Now, all that needs to be looked at one by one and ironed out. And these ecosystems must be carefully created, systematically nurtured. And my gut feeling is you will see dramatic results very fast because there is inherent capability in this country.
Thank you, sir, for the lecture. I'm Aniruddha. I'm a third-year student at the School of Communication. Sir, you were introduced to having been a man who was involved for the Pokhran tests. And more importantly, in relation to that the international tensions on nuclear warfare often ignore issues such as poverty, hunger, and migration. More importantly, when the nuclear blasts happened on August 1945, even like Albert Einstein had commented, I just wish I did not invent my nuclear formulas. So you as a scientist, where does it get you? The motivation, the line that you draw, and more importantly, the cause of humanity as such, because nuclear projects and developments often come at a very, very expensive cost.
Well, see, I think let's be clear about one thing. Protecting our security, nobody is going to help us. We have to protect our security. Now, certainly combating hunger is an important issue, but it cannot be at the cost of, say, national security, or India cannot be put under foreign rule because we did nothing for security of the country and focused only on combating hunger. So the two have to go hand in hand. This is number one. Number two, I think it is stated policy of our government that we are all for total, non-discriminatory, complete nuclear disarmament. That has been our policy from day one, and it continues even post Pokhran tests, 1998 tests. So that remains unchanged. The question is, when you have two adversaries along your border with nuclear weapons, can you live without? And if you live without weapons capability, what will happen to your national security, or for that matter, what will happen to addressing hunger issues under that environment? And I think, as I said, this is not this or that. You have to do both. You cannot, and there is this mindset that, well, you have developed this capability, And in India is a poor country, can we afford to do that? Now, I think we must also remember that India is a large country, and a large country, unless you are strong enough, you will find pieces of India will be nibbled away in no time. And can we afford to do that? So I think we need to address both these issues together. That's how I think. Okay.
Albert Einstein said, "If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough." Thank you, sir, for giving us such a wonderful lecture in simple explanations to make us understand things well. I now request Dr. G.K. Prabhu, Director, MIT, to hand over a memento as a token of our love and gratitude to the Chief Guest.